So for the recording purposes, we're going over organization site visits. We had discussed last week just kind of overall, and Dennis brought up a good point as far as global. And global can be difficult to manage because you have different agencies. And we don't want all hands in the pot for global forms. But we were talking back and forth, and we internally at DTPI, and we don't see any reason, because there is such diversity even among your agency. So Dennis, you have different programs. Stacy has different programs. Education, almost everybody has more than one program. That it would be fine to either run it. You can run it in your current funding opportunity. You could use the same exact form for your regular site visits that are grant specific, or at the organization level, because you can still keep them separate by a type. So you could have a different type for your organization if you needed to, or a different type completely at the grant level. So, because one of the things Dennis was like, well, if we have one and we make this global and yada yada, really, we're thinking more along the lines for you guys, because you have such diversity again within your own program area. Run it at the funding opportunity level, on your closed funding opportunity, or even post it. It wouldn't matter. The forms work the same. You could use the same exact form, whether it was a grant or whether it was an org site visit. Or you could differentiate those by types. So that is something I just wanted to throw out there. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be just a funding opportunity designated for site visits. That's what some of the smaller clients we have do. But when we get into your situation, the system's flexible enough, it doesn't matter. So we're thinking you should probably keep it at your own funding opportunity. But again, that's totally up to you. I'm logged in as an internal staff, and I have also given myself the privilege of the site visit approval level 1. So I'm a client admin, and the one thing that you have to know is that the same person, we set up this rule, that this is how it works, like the reviews, and you can do external and internal both. And this is the only way we truly felt that we could support it correctly. The same person can't be a site visitor and the site visit approver. So like I cannot assign myself a site visit and go in and approve my own site visit. There has to be an audit trail here. And so through this process, you have to know, because I'm sure you were able to do it on your current system. You won't be able to do that. So if, like Crystal or Kristen, if you were going to go out, you can't assign yourself your own site visit and then come back and approve it yourself. It's almost like double dipping. So in this new system, that's where we've got the check and balance. So you'll have to keep that in mind, and that may change how you do things a little bit, but just know that is a rule that's out there. That's one of the reasons for the recording. Somebody asked me to record this, but I was going to do it anyway, because it's truly going to change in this system for you. So I'm logged in as Cassie, and I'm the assigner. I'm assigning the site visit. So what I'm going to do is, from my dashboard, the first thing that I'm going to do is go into the funding opportunity, and we're going to make this really simple. This one's archived, but like I said, I don't care if you put this in with your regular one, and if you have this in posted status, or if you have it in closed status. The main thing that you have to do, well, let me go back because this is new for you too. The main thing you have to do is remember your approval rules. You have to have a setting for the site visit, okay, to approve it. Again, approval levels are at the funding opportunity. Once you've done that, then literally even if these are blank and you use it only for the site visit, or you're using this for a current year's funding opportunity, you'll come over to the site visit and it works the same exact way. It's going to work on your site visit type. So step one would be add your site visit, and then step two would be edit and make sure it's set up for the correct type. You also want to be aware this grant visited, this is not a form that I created. It's not a user-defined form. This is a system form. And this allows you, and it's a multi-list, it allows you to go in and actually say, well, out there, the person and internal, we visited this organization, they have 5 different grants, and you can list the grants. This here truly is just nothing more than a basic site visit. I think it's an attachment form, and that's it. So whatever form you would utilize, that's not going to impact anything different than what you're typically doing right now, okay? But know that this funding opportunity, you have to set it up and you have to have site visit types. That's more what's going to differentiate for you. Once you've done that, then you're going to go to your org and you'll click on, I'm going to actually do a search. And you'll click on your site visit tab. And I've already put 2 out there, but I'm going to add one. So I'm going to add the site visit, and I'm going to give it a due date. Now your dashboard again, so you want to keep in mind your dashboard and your alerts is working off the due date. So if I set this for 5 days from now, you know, it depends on how your alerts are set up, whether it's going to go out on your dashboard. If you set it out too long of a period of time, it's not going to show up on your dashboard yet, because remember, you're in that 30-day window. So for this purpose, I'm just going to use, we'll use 0315. Whoops. And I'm just going to assign it, and I'm going to assign it to myself. I'm an external user in this situation. You can still be internal. This is the funding opportunity, and then the site visit date. I'm going to leave because I may not know it. I just know we need to have it done. You can, whoever decides to put the site visit date in there, it doesn't matter. But I'm leaving it open because I'm going to leave that up to whoever I'm assigning it to. So Tina, okay? When I save it, my type's going to come up, and I'm going to choose my type. You are in a wizard because this is not a true document, because remember, the organization is a table in itself, but it's not a true document. It's hooked to everything else. So this is going to be a little bit different than at the grant level, but we had to set it up this way to define that it had to find a funding opportunity for forms. And a lot of it's just for the forms, guys. And then the type, of course. The type is going to drive what form is going to be completed. And then you click save. And your grants work the same exact way, only you start out with an application, but you're at that funding opportunity. You have assigned that funding opportunity. Only you're going through the whole entire life cycle, and you get down on the grant, and there sets your site visits, so you don't have a wizard down there because you've already determined what type and what funding opportunity, right? We had to design this in a way that it would function and find what it needed and track everything for you. But again, because, you know, your org is not, Oregon people on the external side are not, you know, they're not associated with any program areas. They can have 5 different grants underneath 5 different funding opportunities in 5 different program areas. So we had to come up with a way where the organization kind of sits out there to design this to make it work, you know, and function correctly, so you have a nice form. So once you've done this, then you would walk away. Literally, you're done assigning that site visit. Okay. So if I log out and then I log in as Tina Malone, who I assigned it as, It works like the reviews. Okay, there's my site visit. Here's my site visit down here. And an alert too. So if I go in and I put my site visit in, it's going to tell me quite a bit of information even on this one. Okay, this is the one we're talking about, the bottom one. It's going to give it a number, on site, baseline, test 2, the funding opportunity. Okay, when I click on this, all I have is an edit button. And then I'm going to go down. It links the funding opportunity, but any documentation, any notes, whatever, the form. This form came up because of my type that was tied to this funding opportunity. And so I would just add a new attachment or as many as I wanted. Let's do this one. And I'm going to save it. You can have as many forms in here. Just the same rule would apply. Mark it as complete, and then they would submit it in. My recent site visits. So once it's submitted, I don't have it anymore. See, I can't see it. I can print it, I can view it, but does that make sense? Because you're assigning it, so I don't have any more rights to it. It's like, it works more like the review in this circumstance, and kind of the grant level too. So if I log back out, and then I log back in as the internal person that assigned it, and I go into my site visits. Oh, not my site visits, excuse me. I got to go on my work assignment. Hang on. I don't know why it's not showing up in my document approval. I'll check on that for you guys. There's something going on because I should be able to see this in my document approval because it was submitted in and I'm already signed up for the alert. So I'm going to go directly this way into the org since I know what it is. And when I click on site visits, I will see that it's submitted. I will see that it was assigned to, the submit date, what the due date was, and it could be that 3/15, but I still think there's a problem with your dashboard. Okay, so in here, this is where I would look and see, right? I can approve this, and I've got this set incorrectly, I'm sure, because no, I can't get to it. Okay, so grants visited. This is the system form I was telling you about. This automatically shows up, and that's to select at your funding opportunity. So it wouldn't make sense to do it at the grant level, but it makes perfect sense to do it at the org level. So if I add my row, I literally can come in here and I can go, okay, well, I don't have any grants assigned. Shoot. I wanted to make it simple for you guys, but we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go back. We're going to approve this. Okay. So, if I go back to the preview, I put in my grant side that I visited. I looked over the document that the external user submitted in, and I approve it. I can withdraw it. Again, there's no negotiation here. So this is the other thing that you have to know. If there is truly something that has to be sent back, you can't do it through the org. Because again, the organization profile and the table is truly not a document like a grant or a status report or a claim or anything like that. So you only get the options of approving it or withdrawing it. You can add notes to it. You can edit it yourself. You could have a form on there that's internal if you needed to do something different. You would have to reassign this to the external person or internal person if it was incorrect. I'm thinking more external. To approve it, you just click approve, and then you would go through the approval process and any comments. And comments are not a required field. And then you just save. And now it is approved, and you're done. Okay, questions, comments?
Yeah, I just have a question about the approval level for site visits, and it's kind of for everything. So then would we need to go back to our funding opportunity and set that to 1? And that, so if we put approval level 1, that would mean whoever assigned it would go in and approve. And if we kept it at 0, what would happen? I'm just trying to understand that difference.
No, that's a very good question. So for this system, you must at least set 1 level of approval, or if it would set and submit it forever. It would never go to approved status. So you would go back to your funding opportunity and you would set a minimum of 1. You definitely don't have to have all 5.
Okay, thanks. That helps. Thank you.
And Lucille has a question about it being negotiated. And if it is incorrect, you would have to withdraw and assign a new one or work with them. But there is, because this is not, like I said, not a document like the grant or like the status report or even the grant site visit or application, there is no negotiation here. So at the org level, it's just meant to have the org level forms and approval process, but it's not going to allow you to do a negotiation. That's where the system couldn't do it, because the organization itself is not a document. And does everybody understand what I'm saying about the organization table? It truly, it's 1 form. That's all it is. So when you go to your organization database, it's truly, this is what it is. If you click on it, you edit it, this is all you get. So this is the only way we could design it to work. But you can't have all those other options like you've had before. It's way easy to find. And what I like about it too is if you go down to reports, you also have an organization site visit report already set up, all ready to generate. I got to get your report numbers in there and stuff, but I mean, it's there. You're not going to have to do a lot of building. If you want more than this with your forms, you have that opportunity at the ad hoc too. So it's designed already to make it user friendly and easy to work with, but it's not going to be fancy, you guys, because it's not a document.
Hey, Tina.
Yeah.
Tina, this is Jeannie with GTSB. We actually have a specific form to go through everything for the contract at the site visit. So we, as the administrator of the grant, actually fill that information out, and then we have a form, or a component within that form to have the agency sign. But is there a way to actually bring in the grants or the grant site visits, or where you can pick multiple contracts through the funding opportunity, if we were to add the site visit through the funding opportunity? Does that make sense?
Well, so this obviously baseline in your system doesn't have any grants against there. So let's kind of back up and talk about this. So you would have many grants at that level, correct?
Yes.
And on that funding opportunity. But now we're talking, you went to the org. And yes, you're using a funding opportunity for the form, okay? But remember, the org is associated with the grants, but the grants are setting down there in a document. I know this is hard for you guys to understand. When you go, that's what that extra form is for, is if you want to associate the grants to the org when you go out there. But it doesn't put it back on each grant. It's sitting off over in grant tracking. So am I following what you're asking?
I guess I'm not sure.
Okay, so
So if I have Davenport PD and they have 2 contracts, can I associate? I know I can do that through the organization, but what about our specific components that we fill out regarding both of those contracts?
that would be an extra form that you would have to put on there. So yes,
Even if we put those extra forms on there, we can still associate it or do the site visit through the organization.
right, because up here, when you're in whatever funding opportunity you use, it doesn't matter. You could put your forms here. And they could still be at the grant level. I mean, you could use the same exact funding opportunity, the same exact forms that you're utilizing at the grant level, as long as you put them in the site visit tab. And, you could even differentiate it by the site visit type, that it was an org level visit, and use those same forms. That will not differ any.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you. I think that answered my question.
I think you're fine there.
Okay, great.
This was more set up because there are so many people that do a site visit prior to even awarding a grant. Through the review process, they're looking at how well they did, for the last 5 grants you've given them, and if they went out of compliance, and all these different things are going on to even approve funding for the next round, for the next cycle. And then your site visits, once you have awarded them money and you're still doing site visits, even 2 and 3 years later or longer, that's more what this is meant for. Like we were talking though, for you guys, honestly, you could use the same exact, any of your funding opportunities. And I just didn't set this up so I could see everything, because I wanted to show you just this specific stuff and not a lot of junk. But what I'm saying is that you guys have current funding opportunities out there right now. When you come over to this system, if you go into that current funding opportunity and you set a site visit level 1 and you have site visit forms with types, you could do an organization site visit the next day. That's all the prep work it takes. You're already set up to do them in your current, or you could do it like I had proposed and even use an archive funding opportunity that says this is only going to be used for site visits. Because one of the things that you have to remember is when you're going to assign, you go through a wizard. And this is where it gets to be more technical. And you could run into problems with multiple funding opportunities. So if I go in here, and again, I don't care who, I'm just going to grab somebody this time. See your funding opportunity? Okay, pretty soon you're going to have 19, 20, 25, 45, 50, 100, and you got to know which one you put those forms for the org that you want to use. Now, it's going to be perfectly fine if you stick to the funding opportunities that you currently have open or just recently closed, right? But over time, this is going to become, I think, harder to manage. That was my suggestion for the archive. The only reason why we are suggesting you use or utilize your current funding opportunities, because you would know them also. You know them by FY15 or FY22, right? Most of you are very good at looking at your funding opportunities and knowing which funding opportunities you have. But if you're going to go out here and you're just randomly going to assign somebody to take care of assigning the site visits, they better know the funding opportunities well. That's what I see is going to be an issue. Right? Where if you're down at the grant level, it's already been done. You know what funding opportunity is. Half the time you don't even have to know the funding opportunity. You just know the grant. Okay, now, any questions, comments on this?
Yeah, so essentially it's just additional functionality that we have now, right?
Exactly.
Okay.